and I'm no longer sacrificing my life for this. And so I was like, okay, I was very, very gracious. I came home that weekend. I decided I was going to quit. Um, I pulled out my whiteboard. I spent the whole weekend in my office. Like, what am I going to do? What do I like to do? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the opportunities locally? Like, how do I not travel 100%?
Yeah.
I mean, so I took a week to get my licensing. I took it off. I went to do my licensing for DC every single day. They have local courses that are 8 to 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I did it every day. I got my license, and then I had to figure out a brokerage. So I interviewed with all the top brokerages. I just happened to know people everywhere at the time, and I made a choice. And so then I put in my notice, and it's pretty hard actually to just change. But I hit the ground running. I went to one of the top local brokerages, and therein started my real estate career. It wasn't planned. It wasn't this nice, smooth transition. I just cut the cord.
Yeah.
And
how did you decide on real estate though? Because you had your whiteboard up, like you're sketching out, right?
Yeah, like I thought about,
okay,
other consulting companies that were had federal slants so that I wouldn't be traveling locally. I thought about technology. I thought about, doing healthcare. I thought about, all these different types of work, and nothing really inside of me lit up.
Yeah.
But every single time I was home, I'd always tour neighborhoods. I'd always look at new construction. I'd always walk open houses. All the houses that I'd ever purchased, I wrote the offers. I just didn't have my license. I basically told the realtor, this is what we're going to pay. And they always told me I was crazy, but there was always another house. So it wasn't like I felt hell bent on.
Yeah.
Same thing we tell our clients, right?
Yeah.
Don't fall in love with this until you actually have it, because it's going to ensure that you overpay. Right.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing. So that's how I thought really about what I loved, Sky, coaching, real estate, just kind of taking walks out on the park, but that doesn't necessarily pay. Right.
Yes.
But that's how I came up with real estate, just thinking about what I really loved, thinking about, I love people. I like talking to people. I love servicing people's needs. I love depending on sort of myself to ensure that things get executed. And I love teaming and working with groups, and all these different traits come out in what we do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And by the way, architecture is amazing, right? I minored in art in class. So I would always, at the university. So I would always, sketch landscapes, and, I was always listening, going to museums and just marveling at how these structures were created. So that whole love also transitioned into my choice of real estate.
Yeah, it's great, man. And what was it like? Because I was lucky because I went part-time for 3 years. So I sort of knew, I didn't give up my paycheck right away, but for you or anyone, actually put the word me, if you went cold turkey, you just left, you went full on. I bet we got a bunch of people on here that can relate to this. What was it like for you to go 100, paycheck to 100% commission in a day? In essence, what was it
was all, it was really challenging, Sky, because I think when you're corporate or you work for a company, you're getting paid every 2 weeks, right? Yeah. You have 401, you have your benefits, you have healthcare, you take for granted some of a stipend for travel or meals or gas, or all those things come with the package. And the longer you stay and the higher you go, the greater those numbers are. And so I never thought about it until I actually turned the switch off. And I was like,
Oh,
Wait a minute.
yeah,
Okay. How much do I have in savings?
yeah,
What do I have access to? What's this business actually going to cost? Um, because I'm a business guy, but no one, I never had a conversation with a realtor that said, listen, you got to treat this like a business, right? I mean, you got to make sure your expenses don't outweigh what you're bringing in. And like, I mean, you got to have a cushion, like a 6, 8 month cushion of,
yeah,
your mortgage, your insurance, all these things. I didn't know any of this. And so looking back, I think it was like a perfect storm of just my will and determination to be successful because I have responsibilities and my business acumen to figure it out,
yeah,
right? But figure it out properly. I was taking a gamble on myself. And so there was no failure. That
yeah,
didn't exist. I always say you win and you learn, right? You don't lose, you learn, because
yeah,
even when you don't get or attain that goal, if you're really paying attention, you won't repeat the same mistakes. So it's a teachable moment.
yep,
And so this was a learning for me for about,
yeah,
I mean, my first transaction after I transitioned was 6 months. Like from 6 months to the day of when I actually signed in my brokerage, I had my first transaction, and it came from my godfather. It was a referral. I mean, like, who knew what a referral was, right?
yeah,
So he calls me, I'm on vacation, and he's like, I'm not doing real estate anymore. I still have access to all my clients. This lady called me. She wants me to sell her house. I gave her your name. So I go talk to this lady, and she's like, well, I'm thinking about renting and I want to keep it and I want to buy another property. And I'm like, in my mind, I thought this was a listing appointment, right? So I'm like,
yeah,
okay, these are the rental rates and this is what I think you need to do. And do you have an idea where you want to go? And so we went through this whole conversation. Long story short, I was able to talk her out of renting, but to sell because it was actually better for her family.
yeah,
And she wouldn't have been able to buy anything and tried to hold on to it. So it ended up working out. But I think even that experience, I was like, oh, the universe is talking to me,
yeah,
right? The
yep,
stars are aligned. Like, I can actually do this.
yep,
I just have to do the work.
yeah,
And so from then on, it was just a grind. I mean, I worked so much. I worked much more than I did in consulting for my first 2.5 years, but it was just like hard work.
you hit your groove a little bit right there, right? Because you're starting to get some of the referrals and you got your database. But what's your greatest struggle or question? If you had to ask someone who knows a little bit about real estate, something, what would you ask someone?
I mean, my biggest question, I think, is the holy grail. Like, let's solve lead generation, right? Like, let's
Mhm.
figure out how to never call or cold call somebody and get business. So I think we're there, we're getting there. Like 52% of our business is always our SOI, right? So just been blessed to have a network that will provide referrals or that are dialed into what we do. So we don't cold call, we don't pay for Zillow leads, those types of things, which is very helpful, but I know it's not normal.
Yeah.
But I think solving that whole
Yeah.
um, desire or fear of not having leads, right? Like,
Yeah.
is it going to dry up? Oh, rates are up, or people are unrealistic with their pricing. So, like, I remember when my first couple years, one of my brokers said, it's always great to want to be a listing agent. It's amazing. Everybody wants all these listings. He's like, but don't forget you have to sell them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's great, man. Well, lead generation too. It's like, it comes back to consistency. And that I think the background in athletics, if you can figure out what your quote unquote drills are, figure out what your plays are, and then you just do them over and over and over. That's where you solve the lead generation puzzle, is
Mhm.
when you figure out the playbook, and then you do it so consistently, so religiously, that is the holy grail, so to speak, when you get into that. So, and that's why we preach CRM, because of the fact that it allows you, if you leverage it properly, it allows you to solve that equation, that problem, so to speak. So it's huge.
True, completely.
What about running? So you're running a small team. How many people you got on the team?
Yeah, we have 3 agents, including myself. Just hired an admin, a full-time admin. She's also licensed, which is incredible. Since she's been here, the number of deals that we've acquired since she's been here, huge. I mean, I can't imagine why I didn't do this earlier, right? I'm looking at myself like, you're not really that bright. Like, I can't believe you got that. We have a marketing person. She's really, really amazing. She's not full-time just to us, but I treat her like she is, right? Like, I'm like, do this, do that, do that.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a great leverage point. Great leverage.
So that's really it. The admin, the 3 agents, and our marketing person.
Nice.
We opt into transaction coordinator within Compass. We use that tool that they provide, and it runs itself.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about this year upcoming. We'll have more volume at the start of the year than we've ever had, which is really important. We're ending the year, historically, we end the year very strong because I just work 12 months a year. I don't really take time off, not extensive periods, right?
Yeah.
I don't treat it as a seasonal business.
Yeah. Yep. I got it.
I think on the next horizon is coaching, right? I really want to get the entire team coaching, just because I think individually, they all deserve an objective perspective, and I do the best I can, but like, I can only say what my experience is, right?
At the end of the day, what great athlete didn't have a coach?
Absolutely.
What I mean? And I think the biggest investment you can make is in you. So I do invest in myself every single day. So
I appreciate that. I think, like, I know we're hitting on 6:45 and we're all getting antsy. We got stuff to do. I just want to say, hey, listen, to any of you there, hopefully this was helpful. I'm always available for a call, or, I can only give you what our experience has been. But I would say, Sky, one of the most helpful parts about this has been our breakout session, our call. I would challenge all of you who are new to 6AMers. I know Sky does a really good job of connecting us or other groups by email. Plug in. We have one of the best breakout groups I've ever been a part of, and we've consistently met every single week. And I just want to say thank you, for including us in this amazing journey. I hate that you're wearing a Syracuse shirt. It's been bothering me since we started this call, but other than that,
first time ever.
We're good. Hoya Saxon.
Awesome, man. But it's great for me to hear, because those groups are the one piece that I really have no connection with, right? Like, I just send the email. And after I send the email, I have no idea what happens with it. I have no connection with it. So it's really great. And a lot of them do, like, just fizzle out, don't go anywhere. But it's great to hear that there is something behind it sometimes. And I know there's some really great connections that have been made with the small groups. So I love hearing that, man. So, well, listen, I'm going to see you tomorrow. No, I'll see you.
Yes, Friday. Or Friday, tomorrow.
Yeah, Friday's tomorrow.
Tonight we have our Christmas party. Hopefully everybody on the call can make it.
That'd be awesome, man. I can't wait to come down. And I hope to see a bunch of you guys today. It's going to be a really good day. And I'll try not to mess up my presentation, but we're going to have some fun. And Kevin, thank you. I can't thank you enough for coming on, man.